Today, you're going to learn 3 power moves for Google Gemini to save you 10 hours every work week. Now, if you're buried under hundreds of emails a day, you're not alone. But what's shocking is how many people think grinding late nights is just part of the job. Well, it doesn't have to be. See, I used to be that guy working late every night just to keep up. And now I get my work done with better quality, and I'm not missing dinner with my family anymore. I'm David. I've been deep in Google Workspace since 2017. Let me show you how to flip the script. You can access the core Gemini chat experience at gemini.google.com. Here you can ask questions or issue commands called prompts. Type your prompt into the prompt box at the bottom of the screen and then press enter to submit it. After a couple of seconds, you'll get a response back. This isn't just glorified search, though. You can ask for help on just about anything. For example, ask how to make an email more effective. Then press the Shift key and press return twice to add some new lines. Then paste in the full email content and press enter. In less than 10 seconds, you'll get a very thoughtful set of suggestions on how to improve your email quality. It's useful to think of AI as a super knowledgeable teammate. Optimistic and full of ideas, but it can still make mistakes. And if your IT department has enabled it, you can also interact with other apps like Gmail and Google Calendar by pressing the @ symbol and then selecting the app you want to interact with. But this is where amateurs stop. So now we'll cover the 3 Gemini power moves you need to use every day to really save time, starting with number 1, think faster. You know how it feels when it's the end of the day and you've still got an inbox full of emails? Well, Gemini is in Gmail to help you get through them in record time. For example, I'm sure this has happened to you. You open an email only to discover it's some 20 email long chain and someone's asking you for your thoughts on it. There goes another 15 minutes just trying to figure out what's going on. But with Gemini, life is different. Check out this Summarize This Email button at the top. Let's click it and see what happens. On the sidebar, which just popped up, we see a decent summary of this email chain. But Ricky mentioned that there are challenges and he's looking for my help. Gemini didn't call any of this out, so I'm going to ask it a follow-up question about what the team is debating. Gemini responds with significantly more context for me to comment on. And let's say your prompt didn't give you what you needed. Well, just ask another one. Asking more questions will help you get better. Gemini also helps you across your inbox. Search is one thing, but I find it even more useful to ask questions about my email. Here I remember getting a donut flavor report, but I don't remember the conclusion. Gemini finds the results and even directs me to the specific email with the information inside of it. In case you missed it, you can find the email links inside the Sources button on any Gemini response. Now you can think and process information faster in Gmail, but it doesn't stop here. We're going to check out 5 other Google apps, starting with Google Drive. If you're here, you're most likely looking for a specific file. Gemini makes that easier in 2 ways. First, you can summarize any folder or file without opening it. Simply select the file, then click the Summarize This File button in the top toolbar. The Gemini sidebar opens and you'll get a quick summary of the contents. Second, you can ask about your files just like we asked about email. Let's say I'm looking for donut flavor proposals which have at least a 50% profit margin. I know the flavors are important, but we gotta find the money in the donut business. I know all of these proposals are inside a specific folder, so I can tell Gemini which folder to look in with the @ symbol. I'll select the proposals folder and then start the search. After a few seconds, we've got some ideas for donut flavors to launch next month. Strawberry sparkles sounds fun, so let's check out this proposal. You ever open a document and just start thinking, what have I gotten myself into? Because that's how I feel right now. I don't have time to read about the grand tapestry of culinary artistry. So let's call Gemini for a favor. Open the Gemini side pane by clicking on the Gemini icon in the top right. In about 2 seconds, you get a summary of all the content. That is way better, but I want to know why people will even like this donut. Once again, I don't have to search for this. I can just ask this question as a prompt and Gemini will tell me. And in the near future, you can listen to an AI generated podcast centered on this document. Let's now head over to Google Sheets. Now repeat after me. When I have data in Google Sheets that I need to understand, I will not do it by hand. I'm serious. Here we've got a table of donut flavors and profit. When you have new data in a table format, you'll see this Analyze This Data button near the bottom of the table. Let's click it and see what happens. This time, let's go through Gemini's response step by step. Looks like we've got a couple of key takeaways with supporting data underneath. Looks like we've got the most profitable flavors, medium profitable flavors, and the lowest profit flavors. Now, this text is a bit of a pain to wade through, and we can do one better. Let's ask Gemini to create a chart of this profit instead. The chart gets created inside of the Gemini window, and if you want to insert it into the spreadsheet, click the Insert button in the bottom left corner of the chart. Now, while I'm personally pleased with Gemini in all the apps so far, Sheets is the first underwhelming experience. For example, this chart is just a picture, so if you need to make changes to it a couple days later, you're going to have to recreate it from scratch. Gemini also doesn't seem to work well with complex formulas. I asked it to add a column with a complex formula, and it just came back with a chart. Honestly, this is a bit better than past experiences where it just gave up for me. Finally, you'll notice I only have about 500 rows of data here. I tried Gemini with over 100,000 rows, and it was just way too slow to return anything. So your mileage may vary here, but don't let that discourage you. We're moving on to Google Slides. I hope you're seeing the pattern now that with any piece of content, Gemini gives you a summary and you can ask deeper questions. Google Slides is no different. You can open Gemini by clicking the Gemini icon in the top right corner of the screen, and immediately you'll get a summary of the presentation. This comes in handy when you're dealing with decks 50, 70, or even 100 slides long. But why stop there? If you're looking for specific information, just make a prompt for it. In this case, I want to know how this competitor of ours managed to grow their sales so much and which slides that's discussed on. I see slide 6 mentioned a bunch, so of course, I'm going to go there. And check this out. These are all the details I need. Okay, I'm in great shape with this presentation. It's time for our last app. And that app is Google Meet. See, I'm on a call with Ricky here, who is definitely not an AI, but let's say I wanted to record this conversation. I could click the Gemini pencil in the top right and then click on Start Taking Notes. This records a transcript of the conversation. When the meeting finishes, Gemini will send you meeting notes direct to your inbox. Meeting notes are stored in Google Docs. And when you go there, you'll see summary, details, and action items if applicable. You can also go to the transcript tab in the left sidebar to see exactly what was spoken by timestamp. So you can get through documents and emails faster than ever, but reading is only half the story. Which leads us to power move number 2, create content. Some emails can take you hours to write to get the right tone, especially if you overthink things. There's literally no excuse for that anymore. Let's take a look at this emotionally charged email from a customer to see why. Clearly, Adele is angry. She's been charged by David's Donut Den without any explanation, and the support team hasn't been helpful. Let's see how Gemini can help. I'll scroll to the bottom of the email and click reply. Before you start typing, you'll see this Help Me Write overlay. You can click this directly, press Alt and H on Windows, or press Option H on a Mac. This opens a Gemini prompt where I can say what I want to communicate, how I want to communicate it, and what I don't want to communicate. When you're done with your prompt, press the Enter key or click the Create button to get an email draft. Let's look at what it came up with. It looks like it followed the prompt very well. It was empathetic towards the customer, but didn't apologize because we don't know what's happening yet. But there's one thing that it made up. Did you catch it? I never said that Ricky was from our dedicated customer resolution team. So the lesson is clear here. Gemini can save you time by creating content, but you still need to proofread it. Let's say you didn't like what it generated. You have a couple of options. Clicking the Recreate button
will retry the prompt. Clicking the Refine button gives you a few options. Elaborating makes your response longer, and shortening obviously makes it shorter. If you want to start over with a new prompt, you need to exit out of this response with the X button in the top right. Unfortunately, you can't edit this with more prompts. So if you need to go back and forth with Gemini about the content of an email, I'd recommend going to the Gemini chat interface at gemini.google.com instead. But if you feel you're 90% there, you can click the Insert button and make the final edits yourself. Now let's go to the next app we can create content in. Here we are in a new Google Doc. If you haven't been here in a while, these buttons might be new for you. Create a document has the Gemini icon next to it, so I can't resist clicking. Let's see what it does. At the bottom of the screen, you can enter a prompt to start your document. We've actually got a job opening at David's Donut Den, so let's see what it does with this prompt. Before I click Create, here's a pro tip. With this prompt, Gemini is going to make up a list of responsibilities and a hiring process. A better way to get as close as possible to your goal is to reference a previous job description using the @ symbol, and then tell Gemini to use it as a template or even copy the hiring process directly from it. But since we have no HR department, we have no job descriptions to reference, so I'll click Create and see what happens. We actually get a nice looking document. It's got a cover image, and it's got those responsibilities and hiring process that we asked for. But there is a gotcha here. If you want to create a different document, you can't just delete your content and look for the Create a Document button again. It's not there. Help Me Write gets you closer, but it's not the same thing. The only way I've found to get the button back is to create a new Google Doc. Once you have a document in place, though, Gemini can help you in a few different ways. For example, if you wanted to add a new section, you can use the Gemini pencil on the right-hand side to help you write something. This is just like the Gmail example I showed you earlier. You can also select existing text and ask Gemini to edit it with the pencil icon. For fun, let's have Gemini rewrite this in French. You can refine this with a prompt, but if you like what you see, make sure you click the down arrow next to Insert and click Replace to replace the section in the document. French speakers in the audience, comment down below if you see the secret responsibility I snuck in there. Here we are in Google Sheets. When you start a new spreadsheet, you'll now see this table side pane where you can choose from different tables to start with. Now, if you don't see this side pane, you can always access it by clicking the Insert menu and then clicking Tables. Instead of going through the templates, let's see how Gemini can help us create a custom table. Let's say I'm a manager at a David's Donut Den franchise and I need to create a shift schedule. I can type in create a table to manage shift schedules for the week, then press enter, and Gemini gives me a preview before inserting it. I need a Saturday shift too, so let's add that. Now we've got the full shift schedule. I can click the insert button to add this to the sheet. Make sure you're not overwriting any data you'd miss. You can also edit tables with Gemini after they're in your spreadsheet, but I find it's hit or miss. We're done with Sheets. Guess what app is next? I'm going to show you two capabilities of Gemini here, one good and one not so good. Let's start with the not so good. I need to create a presentation to review our sales every week. Let's ask Gemini for some help on how to structure it. Gemini gives us a simple structure, and what I'd love to do next is to have Gemini create slides for this. Unfortunately, it just loses all context and it creates a slide on how to create a slide. Even if I tried to say create slides for this and then copied and pasted the last response, something else happens. It's better, but it can't create multiple slides at once. Plus, the layouts aren't really that inspiring. But the good thing is that Google's AI image generator, Imagen, is integrated directly into slides. To access it, click on the image icon on the top right sidebar. If you're having trouble finding the right image for your slides, this is a game changer. Just type what you're looking for and click Create. You'll get several images to choose from, and if you want to recreate it, you can always choose your aspect ratio and the style of art you want to create. Once you see an image you like, you can click on it to preview it, and then click the Replace button or the insert button to place it on your slide. Now on to an app which I don't think you've heard of before. This is Google Vids, an AI video editor. If you don't have video editing skills and you need to put together a video, this is a decent option for you. Just like with Google Docs, you can start with a prompt. I need to share with our employees our vision to help everyone in the world experience the joy of a mouth-watering donut. After you've typed your prompt in, click Next. Vids and Gemini behind it will create an outline for you that you can edit. I'll leave this as is and click Next. Then I'll choose what my starting frame looks like. I like this middle one the best, the classic Kevin Stratvert style. And then I'll click Create the Draft Video. And here we get a complete script filled with voiceover, B-roll, and even some nice background music. Here, take a listen.
It's more than just food. It's a moment of happiness, a tiny celebration, a little escape from the everyday.
There's a lot more that we could cover here, but we've got to move on. Drop a comment if you want to see a full Google Vids breakdown. We are back in the Gemini chat window on gemini.google.com. We've created so many different types of content, but I've got 2 more to show you. First up, if you want to create images, but you don't want to do it from Google Slides, this is a perfect place. All you need to do is tell Gemini to create an image of exactly what you want, being as specific as possible, and this is what you get. Refine your prompt and ask for another image if you want it. This last one's for you techies in the audience, including special shout out to vibe coders. First, make sure you select the model at the top left that's best for coding. As of filming, that's 2.5 Pro. I'll start a new chat so we start fresh, and then I'll click on the Canvas button so we can create an app with Gemini. I'll keep my prompt simple for this tutorial, but you can get as specific as you want. I really just want a web app where I can browse and order donuts online, including sample donuts and a checkout function. Let's see what happens. All the code is getting written live for us. And here's our app. We've got donuts to choose from. We can add some of them to the cart. And hey, it even included that strawberry sprinkle donut from earlier. We can scroll to the bottom of the page and we see the cart, and the checkout is just a click away. Now listen, is this something you could give to customers tomorrow and be successful? Of course not. But is this something that will help you communicate your app idea, even if you're non-technical? Hell yes. Now you can create all sorts of content, but you're still using Gemini reactively. What if it could be proactive? That leads us to our last power move, number 3, automate repetitive tasks. I'm sure you have reports, status updates, or some task you have to repeat every week. If you do it the same way every week, you'll waste the same time. We're back on the Gemini homepage. This time, click on the hamburger menu in the top left, and then click on Explore Gems. Now, gems are like custom GPTs from ChatGPT. If you don't know what those are, think of them like pre-built prompts that help you with very specific problems you encounter over and over again. For example, a lot of people are not good written communicators. We can build a gem to help with email writing. It'll become clearer as we build this. I'll click on the New Gem button to start. Let's start by giving our gem a name. I like the name Email Coach. Then let's fill in how we want this email coach to act in the instructions field. Here's the prompt, which you can grab from the description below this video. First, we give it a role to assume. This influences its tone, style, vocabulary, and of course the information it focuses on in its response. Then we share what we want it to do, which is basically rewriting any email that we submit. The rest of the prompt is focused on specifics around that, sharing what to do and what not to do. The more context you provide Gemini, the better it will perform for you. So if you have context from other documents, make sure you upload them in the knowledge section. Should we test this out? On the right side of the page, we can submit an email. This one's very apologetic. I'm so sorry that the report wasn't accessible. I'll let you know when it's ready. Again, I apologize. Let's see how Gemini rewrites this. I'll zoom out a bit so you can see it. You ready for the revision? It's apologetic, but it's really a bit flat. This sentence, I understand the report was not accessible, is like talking to a robot. So I don't get discouraged by this. I just changed my prompt. I want it to sound empathetic, yet still strong, confident, and trustworthy. Let's try this one more time, and yeah, this could totally backfire on me. Okay, it did a better job this time, but I did have to refresh the page because it was getting stuck on the original instructions I provided. Finally, here's an example of a different kind of repetitive task. I'm taking a donut flavor as input, and I'm telling Gemini to create a proposal document for it in the format of the Strawberry Sparkles document down below. While Gemini doesn't create the Google Doc yet, it creates all the content for it, just like we expected.
Great job. Now you've got the 3 power moves to save yourself 10 hours a week. Gemini is going to help you think faster, create content, and automate those repetitive tasks. If you want to learn more about chatting with Gemini, click the card in the top right and leave any questions you have as a comment down below. I'm David, and I'll see you in the next video.